So we've all had those moments when we're about to leave the house and that little voice comes in and says, grab your extra house key, or check your wallet, or any number of things. And we pause for like half a second, run it through and we go, nah, I'm good. And fast forward 3 hours later and we're like, God damn it. Why didn't I listen? Why didn't I listen? But we've also had the opposite happen, where we really felt like this was intuitive information or intuitive guidance, and we took action on that only to learn that that was not the right way to go. Like, it was actually dead wrong. And we can end up feeling sort of duped, or worse, feeling like we aren't intuitive. You know, I've tried, I can't seem to tune in. There's just these people who are the blessed and gifted intuitives, you know, the light of the divine shines on them. And then there's me and the rest of us muggles who can't manage that magic. And I can assure you that that is so not the case. That every single one of us are intuitive. We come here with this inner navigational system. It's just that some of us need to do a little bit more work to learn how to operate that system than others. That's the only difference. As a professional intuitive and an instructor of intuitive development for almost 15 years now, there are some questions I get asked a lot, and this is one of the top 3. How do I discern thinking from intuition? And while there aren't any absolutes in rules, there are some general guidelines that can really help to separate these two. And there's also a few things that you can do to begin to bolster or foster your intuition so that that voice becomes stronger and clearer. When it comes to thoughts versus intuition, it's important to keep in mind that the brain is a probability predictor, and it runs in conjunction with the ego, mind, false self, who has a very personal agenda and wants to have its own way, versus intuition that is run more from higher principles through a quantum field that has access to all information and has a non-self-serving agenda, meaning it's an agenda for the highest good, for you and all involved, etc. Our job is to separate these two, and the best way to do that is to learn how these two operate. So what are the ways that we can tell thinking from intuition? Okay. Number 1 is that intuition comes in softly. It whispers. It's very gentle in its delivery, where thoughts come in, they are loud, and they are clear. We do not miss them. Thoughts do not evade us. Number 2 is that intuition offers or suggests. It doesn't push its agenda. Where thoughts are very bossy and dominating, intuition doesn't argue. Where thoughts will justify and defend to have you lean in its choice direction. Number 4, intuition, it breezes in, says what it has to say, and then dissipates. Where thoughts linger, thoughts repeat themselves. Thoughts will keep at you until you acknowledge it. Number 5, and this is an important one, intuition usually arises in the moment of its own accord when you aren't expecting it, and usually or often at the moment that a decision or action needs to be taken, where thoughts will be arising constantly one after another, all connected in a long chain. Well, before the decision, during the decision, and after the decision. Number 6, intuition focuses on the now and what needs to happen now, where thoughts will come in focusing on everything before the now, the after the now, 10 years down the road from now. You get where I'm going. Number 7, and this one is an important one, is that intuition usually leads you to something that doesn't seem logical, or is something that your mind wouldn't have naturally brought you to, where thoughts are always following the known and what seems most logical to do. So now we have an idea of the difference between these two voices. So the next step is to begin to bolster the intuitive voice so that it has more space for being here. So this is more in the application of like our daily life, our personal life and living. When it comes to wanting the on-demand factor of the intuition, you know, I want this information, I need this now, or I want to do a reading for someone else. There are some more factors that get involved, especially when you're doing readings for someone else, and I am going to go over those in future videos. So number 1 is the more that you acknowledge that inner voice when it comes, when you're able to catch it, the stronger that it will become. Because these are a lot like our muscles. You know, when we first go to a gym, we're really like weak and rubber armed. But the more that we go and the more we lift those weights, the more we're able to finally, you know, lift that one on its own. And that's how it is with our intuition. Number 2 is to be on the alert for your intuition. And to do that, you need to practice being more present with yourself, self-aware, right, of your feelings, of the voices inside of you. And as we learned in last week's video on brain and heart coherence, is that everyone does have intuition. It's just that those who are more aware of their own heartbeat make better intuitive choices. And so by being on the alert means you are being more present and more self-aware, so that when the quieter voice of intuition comes in or the quieter feelings come in with it, you can catch them. Number 3, do not be harsh on yourself. Do not be hard on yourself when you are first learning. We all have to learn how to ride a bike, how to swim. You know, we fall off the bike. We go under the water and get water up our nose. That's what happens when we're learning. And that's the same process here with learning to follow your intuition. You need to come at this with a sense of playfulness and, ooh, I'm playing with the universe and spirit and playing with my intuition, and I'm doing this, developing. It's the attitude that you take towards it is important, okay? Gotta say it. Number 4 is to be brave. Because a lot of the times, our intuition is guiding us to things that we wouldn't normally have thought of, or things that don't seem logical, or is taking us in a direction that doesn't seem to make sense. And this is where you need to breathe and kindly tell your thinking mind to butt the hell out. The more that you follow it, the greater the relationship you have with it in learning to trust that it is taking you down the right road. Number 5 is to be open to the fact that it may not come or happen at the moment you're wanting it, and that's just a fact of how the universe works. Meaning, if you are looking for guidance on a particular topic, and let's say you go to pray on it or meditate on it, it's important that you not expect or demand the answer in that moment. And that catches a lot of people up, that you do the meditation, you put it out there, the question, and then let it go. go on with your day, and you'll find it's in that moment when you went to go pee or are standing at the sink doing dishes that all of a sudden it just comes in on its own when you're not looking for it. The big one with number 5 is to be open to intuitive information coming to you in its own time. Number 6, this is a big one for many people, is to not be attached to wanting to hear or understand a particular direction, or to be led in a particular way. Sometimes we can get very stuck on what we want, which is the mind, ego, false self, when intuition is taking us in the way that is for the higher good or greatest good. And sometimes those two things don't jive. So the less attached you are to the direction or what is being asked of you, the more easier it is for you to follow the guidance or direction that you're given. Readers go to other readers for a reason. And that's because it can be very difficult to get out of our own way. Again, because we have attachments to what we want to hear or what we want to happen. But not only that, there's times when there's situations that we want or need guidance on that we have so much emotional tension inside over that it's almost like a static that makes it difficult for us to hear our intuition. So just know that in this process, there will be times or situations that you may not be able to extract that information that you want for yourself. Last but not least is to play with your intuition. Play the guess who just texted me game, or who am I going to see today? There's lots of ways that you can begin calling on your intuition in a playful way where the answer, whether you're right or wrong, doesn't matter. It has no big effect. But in doing that, it is like really awakening that inner voice of yours, and you're telling it, I want to use you. And the more that you do that, the more that it reinforces that, and the more that it will start to come to you in unexpected ways that are guiding you on your path. So this is not an all-inclusive, right? But these are the big things when it comes to using your intuition in your daily life. There's so many ways that it can come. And like I said, we're going to dive into that more in future videos. And what I would love to hear is your stories of that time when you did listen to your intuition, or how your intuition came in and guided you, or that time you didn't and you wish you had of. Because when we all share like that down in the comments, it helps us to learn to discern and to discriminate between these two. I would also really love to hear any suggestions or questions that you have that I can answer you guys in videos. So you can leave that all down there for me. I will read it. Thank you so much, and I will see you guys again soon.